Welcome to my masterclass on effective legislative advocacy to advance policy for U.S.-Haiti relations. My name is Dr. Bobuso, and today I am your host. Advocacy is the strategic process of influencing public policy through direct engagement with lawmakers, staffers, executive agencies, and allied organizations. When focused on U.S.-Haiti relations, effective advocacy promotes bilateral benefits that advance economic development, democratic stability, and humanitarian outcomes for both nations. This will be the outline for today's masterclass. This masterclass will outline core strategies, tools, and best practices that are necessary to build, influence, and sustain legislative momentum on Haitian issues in Washington, D.C. In moments of crisis or injustice, the natural response of the Haitian diaspora is to mobilize the community to raise its voice publicly. They do so through letters, protests, pilgrimage to Washington, D.C. Although these tools are powerful forms of public expressions that ignite awareness and media attention, they don't really translate into legislation. Media attention is not policy change. Emotion alone does not move appropriations. If we are serious about transforming the lives of Haitians at home and in the diaspora, if we seek policies that endure beyond headlines, then we must elevate our engagement from performative pressure to strategic advocacy. Why is strategic advocacy powerful, and how can it impact policymaking? Advocacy is where policy is made. While marches and open letters make noise, legislation is passed in quiet rooms, in policy briefings, and hearings, and committee markups, and in one-on-one meetings with legislative staffers. That is where the budget is written. That is where immigration designations like TPS are extended or rescinded. That is where foreign aid is allocated, sanctions are debated, and visa programs are amended. A protest may demand justice. An open letter may request attention, but a well-placed policy memo with legislative language can get a bill introduced, an amendment adopted, or a vote scheduled. Open letters are the beginning, not the end. Open letters are useful tools to demonstrate consensus or outrage. But once they are sent, then what? Who follow-ups with the party staff? Who turns that concern into bill text or budgetary language? Who ensures the issues lands on the desk of a decision maker during markups or briefings? Open letters without legislative follow-up risk becoming symbolic gestures, powerful in emotion but impotent in executions. What about bus rides to Washington? They are not enough. Mobilizing buses of people to Washington has historically been a way to show political power. It just cameras and can remind lawmakers of the human stakes beyond the issues. But unless those bus rides are matched with pre-scheduled meetings with relevant congressional office, specific policy ask aligned with active legislation, coalition support with key stakeholders, and ongoing follow-up and engagement, then the momentum often dies the moment the boss returns back home. We must go beyond presence to persuasion, beyond numbers to strategy. Advocacy requires policy literacy. Effective advocacy means knowing who control what, knowing the right committee and subcommittee that controls your issue, knowing when in the fiscal year to push for appropriations, knowing how to phrase your ask in legislative language, and most importantly, building relationships with staffers who shape their boss positions behind the scenes. This is not glamorous, it's not always public, but it is where willpower lives. Let's say also that advocacy is a cycle, not a one-time event. Protests and letters are often one-off efforts. Advocacy is a cycle where we identify issues, where there is policy analysis, targeted engagement, ask that are based on legislation, monitoring progress, following up, sustain pressure, building the next round, but or more importantly, is to keep reminding yourself and the staffers and Congress what you came for, what you were there for, and then repeat the same process that you hold the first time. This is how immigration laws have been reformed. This is how countries have secured aid. With advocacy, this is how diaspora communities can get leverage. It is time now to move from the streets to the rooms. We are not abandoning grassroots power. We are channeling it into policy corridors. The most powerful movements do not stop at protest. They translate protest into policy. Our Haitian communities deserve long-term development funding, fair immigration policy, respectful diplomatic engagement, bilateral policies that reflect our shared interests. And the way to achieve these outcomes is not only passion, is with precision. The call to action is to know that policy is the real language of power. If we want real change for Haiti and Haitians, we must learn to speak the language of power. The language of power is policy. That is the role of advocacy. That is why we do more than march and protest. Let us move from the streets into the rooms where decisions are made. Foundations of legislative advocacy, that's when we define the policy objective. Every effective advocacy campaign begins with a clear and actionable objective. All the objectives must be smart. Policy ask must be specific. As an example, support HR XXXX to reauthorize TPS for Haitian. Use legislative language, reference bill numbers, appropriation requests, committee jurisdiction, or agency rules. For example, we can use, we request that the subcommittee on state foreign operations and related programs include language in the FY26 appropriations bill to increase funding for democratic governance program in Haiti. That's how we engage and we define the demographic to know exactly who are we going to talk to, who are going to talk about, what will be the issues we want staffers to bring to the bosses. That's why it's important to understand the congressional structures and timing. Committees of jurisdiction, foreign affairs, the House, foreign relations, Senate, appropriations, judiciary for immigration TPS issues or any issues that you want to bring before Congress. We engage effectively by targeting strategically to prioritize members on key committees or with Haitian constituencies, example, South Florida, New York, Chicago, wherever there is a lawmaker, wherever there are Haitian, that's the people you will be targeting to get what you want. It's important to engage Congress effectively, and how do we do so is to organize meetings, to prepare for the meeting where we will write letters, email, even a text, where you can have a simple email that will be read as such. Dear staff name, I write on behalf of the coalition, your name, a network committed to advancing U.S.-Haiti relations through strategic policy engagement. We respectfully request a meeting with your office to discuss the issue and share recommendations for congressional action. We are available. You will insert the time you will be available. We look forward for your response. When you send the meeting and they tell you that they want to see you, they are going to see you, don't just go with nothing. Go with leave behinds, with one pages, one page, a summary, a big summary, or personal testimonies. When you go to those meetings, make sure that you assign clear roles. Who will be the lead speaker? What will be the voice of the constituent? Who is the policy expert? Who will be the next speaker? And that's how you frame your message, where you frame your policy ask in terms of bipartisan values, stability, security, migration movement, economic opportunity, U.S. interest, national security, economic ties, diaspora engagement, and national leadership. Also, you have to emphasize on mutual gains for both nations. What is the ROI? What is the return on investment? Is also significant to know, as I will be saying it, to know exactly what language the lawmakers talk. Legislative language example, the USA has a vested interest in supporting regional stability through targeted foreign assistance to Haiti. We urge Congress to appropriate X million of dollars and governance program through USAID, DCF, or whatever it will be under the development assistance account. Key timelines is also important because if you will be going to Washington to advocate for Haiti and Haitians, you need to know exactly when to go, when those meetings will be held. January to March, that's when they talk about appropriations to know what will be in those bills. April to July, budget markup. If you will be submitting a bill, know those dates. September, November, final push and LEM doc sessions and policy wrapping that are important. Those key timelines are crucial for you to know when you're going on your advocacy campaign in Washington, D.C. You cannot do it alone. You cannot be an island. That's why it's important to build coalitions and partnership. Build a policy coalition from alliances, partner with NGOs, diaspora organizations, religious institutions, even schools and universities. It's important to create sign-on letters, to have a joint advocacy where you can show broad support for the issues you'll be bringing to Congress. I have an example of a sign-on letter language that you might use. As organizations committed to democratic development and migration justice, we urge your office to support Section XX of HR XX XXX, which affirms temporary protection for Haitian nationals displaced by ongoing stabilities. Also remember to always host advocacy days. Go to the hills, do a visit, train participants with talking points and mark sessions. It's great if everybody goes with the same message. They have the same talking points, and how we train them is to make sure before they have all this information, they will be able to deliver some asks that are coordinated to multiple offices on the same day. Encourage participants, invite more participants, and after the advocacy day, encourage them to follow up with thank you emails and meeting notes. That way, people will remember you. You don't close the loop after you leave Washington. You start the process. That's why it's important for you to do follow-ups. Follow-ups and policy amendment. Post meeting actions. Send a thank you email within 24 hours if possible. And your email will include digital versions of documents that you've shared with them. And you will restate the policy ask and offer yourself as a resource if they want to move on with it. It's also important for you to track legislative movement, monitor bill progress, use platforms that they already have, like congress.gov or govtrack.gov. You will maintain a tracker of offices met, staffers' name, and what follow-ups are needed for you to keep pushing, to keep reminding Congress about your ask. And stay engaged. Not stay engaged one time, two times, twice, three times. You stay engaged regularly. You build your own schedule, quarterly follow-ups. We engage with update ask or developments. Invite staff to community events or Haitian roundtables. You can even hold fundraisers for lawmakers. And you can submit testimony or public comments when appropriate. Those follow-ups, they are more important than the initial contacts. We do advocacy to advance legislative strategies. How do we do so? We use appropriations language. For example, we respectfully request the following reporting language be included in the FY 2026 SFOPS appropriation bills. You show them that you know exactly what you are talking about. You do your research. The committee directs the Department of State to submit a report on efforts to support rule of law and anti-corruption measures in Haiti. You identify who will be your policy riders, who will be doing the markup, the amendments. Work with members to introduce policy riders to bills or amendments that align with your advocacy goals. You conduct congressional briefings and roundtables. You host policy forums on the Hill with co-sponsorship for members. You can have a dinner, an event at the Hill where you will be inviting key members or members you are targeted to support, to help you, to introduce the bill for you. Always try to have lawmakers on both sides. So you have better chance that your bill or your language will be included on the sessions. Engage think tanks and academia to learn policy credibility. Those information are crucial for you to understand. And when you're gonna start your first advocacy campaign, there are some key principles for an advocacy that will be effective. Be consistent. Policy change takes time. Follow up regularly. Be concise. Staffers are busy. That's why you need to be straight to the point. Use clear, brief, talking points. That's where the one pager will become handy. Be credible. Use ad data, case studies, and human stories. Be collaborative. Build diverse coalitions to show wide-reaching support. If you go over there with just you or two people, they might take you serious, but not that serious. But if you have a mix of individuals, you have organizations with you, they will say, okay, those people, they have broad support, and they will translate that support into vote. And what makes candidates act quicker, money, and vote, and also be constituent led. Members care most about their own voters. Use diaspora voices. That's why when you engage people in Florida lawmakers, they know their vote depend on the Haitians, on immigrants. That's why it's always good to be, whenever you are going there, whatever you will be saying, always make sure that you mention we can bring the vote, we can bring the money. So what does success look like for a campaign? Advocacy continues even when and after legislation, after you leave Congress. But you will know if you have success in your advocacy when you are behind your TV or on your computer or on your cell phone. You will see that the bill that you recommend is introduced or co-sponsored. When you see the language that you included in appropriations bill is reported. When Congress make a statement about Haiti, when policy change adopted by an agency or executive order, and also when you see increased funding or whatever ask that you made. For example, a TPS is renewed and secured, or the Biden people get to stay in America. Those are the resources that you can use that I will provide into you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the masterclass. My name is Dr. Bobuso. I hold my PhD in law and public policy, and I have been a strong advocate for Haiti for the past 20 years. And I'm ready right now to take your questions. Thank you.